The Super Nintendo is 35 years old. And last week, at the very tail end of the show, Rich, for some reason, brought up Super Nintendo. I can't remember why. And it just made me think, okay, I want to talk about our experiences with the Super Nintendo growing up. And I figure everybody has like a story, everybody our age. And by our age, I mean my age, and then these guys who are slightly younger than me. But everybody our age has a story about the Super Nintendo. For me, I was literally down the street at my friend Matt's house. We were playing basketball in the front yard, and our buddy, I think it was Jonathan. I can't remember who it was, but I think Jonathan rode up on his bike and he was like, "Guys, there's a new Nintendo system," because we didn't know about it, right? He said there's a new Nintendo system and it's up at the Woolworth was like our local department store. And so we dropped the ball. We all jumped on our bicycles and we pedaled our asses up to Woolworth. And we locked him out back. We walked upstairs. The the electronics section was in the top floor and all the way in the back. So we walked upstairs and we went all the way to the back. You had to ride the escalators up back and forth, all the way to the back. And in the back of the electronics section, they had this tiny little TV, and Super Mario World was playing, and you could only play the first level. And so we would go up there and we were sitting there, we're playing because none of us had the money to buy a Super Nintendo. So we're playing this and we're like, these graphics are the most insane thing we've ever seen. Our minds were all blown. And you know how kids get when they're excited. We were being loud and rambunctious. And eventually the guy who worked in the electronics section had enough of our bullshit. And he was like, you guys are out of here. So we left. And about an hour later, we came back. He goes, you guys got to be quiet this time. And we're like, okay, we'll be quiet. We'll be quiet. And we played for about an hour, just the first level over and over again. We were just taking turns trying it out. We were just having so much fun with it until he kicked us out again. And that went on and on and on until eventually we all got our hands on the Super Nintendo. And man, it to this day, it is one of my all-time favorite systems. But I want to hear your guys' stories about this. Russ, you're the retro guy. You got to have a good Super Nintendo story. I just set him up. Now he can't disappoint. You got to really get us.
So I never had the Super Nintendo growing up. We got the Sega Genesis, so we were like totally different, console. But even before I got the Genesis, like we had heard rumblings that the Super Nintendo was coming or whatever. And there was this kid on my bus. I may have told this story before, but he said he had one at home. And we're like, the kid was kind of a liar, like he would just make up stuff. And we're like, no, you don't, And he's like, no, come over and do it. And so like I went over to his house. I'm like, I'm going to call him out on it. Right. And he had it, and he had Mario World, and I didn't even know it was out yet. And he had it. And so I played with him like that night. And then like, I think I stayed for dinner. And then I was like, that was just cool to actually be able to play it and see it. And same thing, blown away by the graphics and stuff. But yeah, growing up, I never had it. I would just play it at friends' houses. And I learned how to play Street Fighter from that, Sometimes I had a friend who he didn't have one either, but his mom would let him rent the whole console, So he'd rent the whole console plus a couple games. And I remember playing a lot of Street Fighter. Soul Blazer was the first role-playing game I played, which was an old Square game, or not Square, Square game. And it was just a really cool console. I loved the sound of it. Like the audio I always felt was a little bit cooler than some of the Genesis games. And yeah, that was really about it. I did eventually buy one when I was like in my 20s. After I joined the Navy, I got real bored and I was like, let me go buy a Super Nintendo and play some of these games. And so I just kind of relived. And that's when I actually played through games like Mario RPG and stuff. I was in my 20s by then. But yeah, loved the console, but we were a Genesis family. It was cheaper. And then eventually we got all the add-ons for that too. So 32X and Sega CD.
Did you have that awful light gun? What the hell was it called?
Super Scope?
That was for the Super Nintendo.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the Genesis, any of that. We just had those two, but we had the old school Genesis and the old school CD, like the stack, right? It wasn't the one that was side by side like the newer generation of Sega
Oh, you had
CD.
the CD.
We had the old school stack of it, which that one was cool. Like it had a headphone jack and a volume meter on it, which was kind of a unique thing. So we could like put in headphones and then play quietly, so my parents didn't hear. Yeah.
Nice.
Look at that. He just pulls it out.
For the audio for the audio listeners, I definitely need to clarify that comment.
No, he just pulled it out. You wouldn't believe it.
It was such a good story.
Whenever I get the opportunity, I'm like, oh crap, I have that near me. Let me do that.
Well,
No, go ahead
Carrie,
and
you just
clarify.
kind of jumped into it. Let's hear your Super Nintendo story.
So mine is similar to Russ's. So let me now when growing up, the area that I was in, you would be like a leper if you ever admitted that you played video games. So seldom would you ever actually admit that out loud, but you'd find a few people talking about it. I heard this one kid. Now, I knew about the Super Nintendo coming out before. I was a Game Pro and EGM subscriber. So I had Game Pro and EGM every month. So I would read that all the time. And I love those. And so I knew about the Super Nintendo coming out in advance. And I knew it was not coming out until, what was it, September? Forget the date, but I knew it was late. It would be like after summer or something like that. Anywho, I hear this kid talking. And he's like, "Oh, I have a Super Nintendo," and I'm like, "No, you don't," because I knew it wasn't out yet. And he's swearing up and down that he has it. And you know how schools work. Like you're in like districts, right? So like you kind of know like the blast radius of like a school. Like someone has to live around there. Anyway, one day he's out. And the teacher is like, I forget his name. I think it's Keith something. He's out, and she's like, oh, he needs his homework. And I was like, I'll take it to his house. I had no idea where this dude lived, right? Like, I did not know where he lived. The only thing I knew is that he must be in some vicinity around this school. So I kid you not, for 2 hours, I like patrolled in a larger and larger circle, asking everyone if they knew
Keith?
Yes, like and the last name, and I don't at the time I don't remember the last name now, but that was what I was doing, and I did find someone. They're like, oh yeah, I think that he lives over there in that apartment and whatever, and I'm like, all right. So I go, and then I see his last name on the thing. I'm like, oh, I push the button, and it's like, is Keith home? And like, oh yeah. So I go and I walk up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see a Super Nintendo, and he opens up the door, totally not sick, completely fine. That's fine. I know look, we all did it, right? We took off days when we're not sick. Anyway, I'm like, here's your homework. Can I see your Super Nintendo? And he he holds it. And he's like, oh, I don't have it. And I was like, you bum. I knew it. I knew you were lying, you liar. So that was just like the whole Russ story of like calling a liar, but I found him out. I wrote out his lies.
In my defense, though, I will say, so I lived in the Seattle area, and so Redmond is very nearby.
Right.
And so we were one of the test areas. And so I think we got the NES early. And so that might have been some factor to it. I don't know. I was 11 at the time, so I have no idea in terms of dates and stuff. But that could have been an issue too as well.
Right. So so my first Super Nintendo story was a complete fabrication of like a school chum that was completely lying through his teeth for no reason. Just to do it.
For clout.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, like I was like, no, it isn't. It's not out yet. But you can like, there's not enough real information that you have at the time. You have magazines and like, you're like, oh, maybe things slipped, maybe this, maybe that, right next to New York. And it's like, who knows?
I love that you've been fact checking for 35 years. You canvassed the area.
Oh yeah. Like, dude, like that's how hardcore, like I was hardcore into video games. And like, so yeah, if someone told me they had a Super Nintendo and I have not seen it yet, I am going to like, like I would go to import shops to play games in advance because I knew Japan would get them first and then they would come out later. So there's lots of times that I would even just do that because of how interested I was in them. So yeah, but the real story of how I got a Super Nintendo was uneventful. I got it for my birthday. I saw the packaging, and when I picked it up, it was heavy as sin. I don't remember why. I don't remember what they did. I don't know if they put in a fake box with like fake weight in it. But I remember I picked it up and I was like, oh man, it's heavy. And my brother, he was like, oh yeah, mom got you a weight set. And I was like, oh, like I don't want a weight set. I want a Super Nintendo. And then, I got it for my birthday, opened it up and I was like, oh, and then Super Mario World was an amazing pack-in game. Super Mario World was far better than I thought it would ever be. And I really very much enjoyed it. But that's so my Super Nintendo story is not all that like my actual Super Nintendo story when I got it isn't as fun as routing out the liar that tried
True Detective.
Right?
coming this fall to HBO.
Yeah. The Super Nintendo liar.
Yeah.
Rich,
Well-
you got
well,
any
I-
fun stories about SNES?
Not particularly fun. I think you guys have it. I will say that, first of all, I did remember why I brought it up last time. I was reading a book, Game Over No Rematch. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. And he goes through all of these like pivotal moments, and that was definitely one of them. What I do remember is I came home. I know I was asking for it for Christmas or whatever, and I was definitely being told, no, you're not getting that. But I came home one day and they were playing it, like my family was playing Super Mario World. So I went through this like roller coaster of emotions, like, oh, you really got it. Oh, you're playing without me. Oh, I should be happy for you. So it was just this roller coaster of emotions. But yes, Super Mario World took over my life after that day for sure.
So question for you guys. I had a hard time with the shoulder buttons back when it first came out. I was like, this is too complicated. My fingers weren't ready for that, Did you guys have any of those same like adjustment issues when you had a new input like that?
No.
I think when you hand a video game controller today to a non-gamer, they have this ridiculous amount of bullshit to overcome.
Yeah.
But we got it given to us one small piece at a time over decades. And that is a really weird thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything that we
Yeah.
got, we like started out with one button. Then there were two buttons. Then there were four buttons. Then they added on the little whatever. It's really interesting to me how that happened. But I don't remember ever having trouble with those. But like in Super Mario World, those were only like you could just
That's
move
it,
the
right.
camera
You
to
know
the,
the
a
thing.
little
They were
bit to
kind
the
of-
left and
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It
I
really
know that
came for me with Street Fighter because those were the two
Oh,
heavies,
yes.
right? And so I had to go in and remap it every time in the options because I was like, I can't. I'd make them the lights basically. I'm like, I can do a light every once in a while, but I need my heavies to be a face button. So that was a big adjustment I had to learn with.
That's what I was
Um,
going to say. I remember Street Fighter giving me a hard
Yeah.
time with the shoulder buttons where like, if I want, especially the left one, if I wanted to, what was that, kick?
Yeah.
Like
That was
Mhm.
punch. No, that was
No, it was
punch.
punch.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That
right
that
trigger
left
kick.
one was giving me all sorts of trouble. So yeah, I remember that.
The fun fact, and I believe this is a true thing, but ZL and ZR were supposed to make it into the Super Nintendo, and they didn't. So
Wait, like
it was
like double shoulder buttons?
L2R2, yeah.
Wow.
How
Did
ZL
not know that.
and they were actually called ZL and ZR. If I recall correctly, I could be completely wrong. I remember reading this somewhere. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I could be completely wrong. Please call me out if I'm incorrect here. It's just a factoid that I had recalled just now when you guys were talking about triggers. So I'd be completely bad. Oh,
How
before we
hilarious
go-
would it be? Hold on. How hilarious would it be if it was Keith that fact checked you?
yeah, now who's a liar?
If you are watching us, let us know in the comments.
Yes, and make sure you call him Detective Carey.
Real quick funny story about Genesis. So Genesis 1989, I remember walking to the store and wanting it and then getting it later. And I think in like second grade or third grade or whatever, I was in an English class and the teacher was talking about it and she was saying,
Your English teacher was talking about the Sega Genesis?
no. She was like, it's the weekend. Did anyone get anything fun?
Oh,
Did you get
okay.
anything? And everyone's answering something. I'm like, oh, all right, we'll talk about the Genesis. So I raised my hand and I'm like, I got Genesis. And she said, I love that band. And I had no idea what she was talking about.
Whoa, Genesis is awesome.
Not when I was in second or third grade. I did not
Oh, fair
know
enough.
that
Yeah, that's
band
true.
existed. So she said, I love that band. I'm like, what? What the hell are you talking about?
That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Very cool. Well, let us know your retro Super Nintendo stories in the comments down below. This was just a small part of my podcast, the Nerd Nest podcast. And if you enjoyed it, then do me a favor and click on that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, then I think you should check out the link in the description down below the like button. It's going to take you to the full podcast so you can check out the entire conversation and a whole lot more. If that sounds good, I hope to see you over there. Stay rad, and thanks for watching.